Welcome back to the Kingdom Wayfinder. Today we're going to be talking about the actual Spyro 4. This is going to be the meat of the game, the meat of the video, and the actual story of Spyro 4, what it can contain, how good it can be. And this is pretty much part 2 to the first video, which was the villain, obviously that being Malefor, and me explaining why, how Malefor could really bring a lot of chaos and a lot of character development to the table for Spyro himself. So basically, let's talk about the actual game. So as you can tell by the title or the thumbnail, or the title and the thumbnail, this is going to be a game that would contain all three Spyros. This would be, Spyro 4 in my opinion would be the Spyro the Dragon crossover game that a lot of people have been speculating about for the longest time now. And the way that it would go is really interesting, because when you actually think about it, I think this game, because you know what, this is a game that a lot of us have thought about for years, and I mean years. We have been thinking about a potential Spyro crossover game, like people would say, like, well, maybe like Spider-Verse or something, like, you know, that's when Spider-Verse came out, everyone was kind of like using, like, yeah, that would be a pretty good example of what a Spyro crossover game would be like if they were to do like a bunch of different Spyros and bring them together. But after seeing Spider-Man No Way Home, I think that would be the most perfect base or the perfect reference for what a Spyro 4 could be like, because you got three Spider-Mans, right? And then you have, realistically, you have three Spyros. You got the classic OG, which in this case would be Reignited. Then you got the Legend series, and then you have Skylanders, because that was the order of the release. So with that being said, that's how Malefor would get into this universe, because I didn't really touch on this topic in my video of how Malefor could get into the original universe, and this is how they would do it. And this isn't gonna just be something that would just be Malefor. While I would think Malefor would be the main antagonist, I would like to think of it again kind of like similar to No Way Home, where it would be a bunch of different Spyro villains teaming up together. So realistically, you'd have like Nasty Nork, you would have Ripto, you would have Chaos, you would have Gaul, if that even, but yeah, you know, you could have Gaul, and then obviously Malefor, and they're all like, you know, working together and everything, right? So basically, and then obviously realistically, you would have all three Spyros working together, and this is how these characters would get into the original universe. I think this is the most realistic and really the only way that you can actually put these characters in the original universe, because for the longest time I have been saying Cinder does not make sense in the original universe. And I did make a video on Cinder well over a year ago, and I even said in the video it would be cool, but ultimately it would kind of suck because it wouldn't make sense. Cinder isn't of the original universe, and I wouldn't want them to reincarnate her with a classic quote-unquote looking design, if you know what I mean. And I still stand by to this day. Like, if you want to put these characters in this world, you'd have to do it like this. It would have to be a multiverse sort of thing, because it just won't work. And even with Dark Spyro, I wasn't really a fan of Dark Spyro in Crash on the Run. I actually don't like what they did with Dark Spyro in Crash on the Run, with making him a separate character, a separate entity, and making him a villain. I thought that was really dumb on King's parts. Obviously, they did not do their homework on what Dark Spyro is, because Dark Spyro is not a separate entity. He is still Spyro. It's just Spyro, but with him utilizing the power of darkness that's inside him. That's it. He's not a separate entity. He's not evil. He can control his dark form. And obviously King did not do their homework. And I want to talk about what Dark Spyro could do in this, because realistically, when you have someone like Malefor going up against the original Spyro stands literally next to no chance against the likes of Malefor. The only one who would realistically stand the chance against the likes of Malefor would be, obviously, Legend of Spyro, right? LOS Spyro. And also Skylander Spyro. If you actually read the Return of the Dragon King comic, Spyro whooped ass in there. But still, with that being said, this would realistically be reignited Spyro's, or original Spyro, classic Spyro. I'm gonna call him reignited Spyro. This would be reignited Spyro's game. So with that being said, this is where Dark Spyro would come in. This is how, like, you know, like at some point in the story, you know, when Spyro's like really feeling down and out or defeated, or even just like oh, what do we do, right? And then Dark Spyro, not Dark Spyro, LOS Spyro and Skylander Spyro, they show Spyro, like they teach him, or they give him some sort of power to become Dark Spyro, and then they all fight him at the end, which I think that would be really cool. I think that would actually be really sick if they did that, because that's what I really think it would be. And honestly, when it comes to the actual gameplay of Spyro 4, because you realistically, you'd be playing as all 3 Spyros, but that would be ambitious as heck, because you got 3 completely different gameplay styles. You got the gameplay of the original trilogy, you got the gameplay of Dawn of the Dragon, and then you have gameplay of Skylanders. So realistically, that would be one big of an ambitious project. So how would they kind of make it all consistent, if you know what I mean, from a gameplay perspective? They probably won't. It would have to be, if you're gonna play as these characters, you have to play as these characters in their respective format, and I think that's literally, in my opinion, the best way to do it. Unfortunately, when it comes to Dawn of the Dragon Spyro, they would probably numb it down to maybe like a New Beginnings combat, if anything, to make it somewhat consistent. But I would rather they go with the Dawn of the Dragon route, in my opinion. I feel like that would make sense. But it also depends on which point in the timeline that these characters are coming in, because obviously if Malefor were to be here, then clearly this would probably be before Dawn of the Dragon, so maybe that's what they would do to excuse it as, okay, we'll use a New Beginnings gameplay and combat, you know what I mean? Or fresh off the tails of Eternal Night, because that's when LOS Spyro becomes Dark Spyro and whatnot. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I just wanted to bring that out there. Now, as for what the story can contain, again, it would probably be something very similar to No Way Home, because this would be a multiverse thing. But this is kind of what I was thinking of for Spyro 4 for the longest time before No Way Home came out, but I feel like that movie's a really good reference of what a Spyro multiverse game could be. And would it be a mainline title? I would say yes. Something as big as that would be, because you're bringing 3 different fan bases together to play a single game. So it would make sense for this not to be a spin-off. This would have to be a mainline interior game. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So let me know in the comment section below what you guys think. Do you think Spyro 4 would do this multiverse thing? How do you think they would do it? How do you think they would incorporate it? And again, when it comes to Cinder being in this game, you know, this is how they would do it. It would have to be a multiverse thing. I wouldn't want them to reincarnate a character into the original universe just to appeal to that side of the fan base, because then you're kind of just spitting in the other fan base, you know what I mean? You're kind of just spitting in their face just to appease one audience, but you have another audience, the core audience of that character. So if you want to bring these characters into this universe, it would have to be a one and done thing. It would have to be a multiverse thing, because then everybody would be happy, because this is the most realistic way of doing it. I would not want them to reincarnate characters and take them out of their respective games and put them in here until the end of time. I wouldn't want that. I don't think any of these fans would want that either, especially Skylanders fans. I don't think anybody would want to see actual Skylanders, you know, be reincarnated in the original Spyro universe and they get nothing at the end of the day. That would just be a slap in the face, but that's for a whole nother video. So again, let me know what you guys think of this multiverse idea for this one and done game. I think it would be really cool if Spyro 4 was this, but it's probably not gonna be this, but I think it would be cool. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So if you enjoyed the video, make sure you give it a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you all in the next one.